The colony of New Sahara had been burning for 3 days. Maya pressed her back against the cool metal of the underground bunker, her hands trembling as she clutched the plasma rifle she barely knew how to use. Around her, 217 colonists, farmers, engineers, teachers, children, huddled in the darkness, listening to the thunderous impacts above as the Krell bombardment continued its relentless assault. "Communications are still down," reported Elder Chen, his weathered face illuminated by the flickering light of a dying power cell. "The relay stations are gone, all of them." Maya closed her eyes. She had sent the distress signal 72 hours ago, just before the first Krell warships had appeared in orbit like metal locusts descending on crops. The message had transmitted for perhaps 3 seconds before the communications array had been vaporized. 3 seconds to scream into the void, hoping someone, anyone, would hear. New Sahara was an agricultural world on the furthest edge of human space, 12 light-years from the nearest military outpost. Even if her message had been received, even if someone cared enough to respond, the fastest ships would take weeks to arrive. They didn't have weeks, they had hours, maybe less. "Mama, I'm scared," whispered a small voice. Little Amara, only 6 years old, clung to her mother's leg. Maya reached down and stroked the girl's hair, forcing a smile she didn't feel. "It's going to be okay, John," Maya lied softly. "Help is coming." But Maya had done the calculations herself. She was the colony's chief agricultural scientist, but mathematics was universal. No aid was coming. They were alone, forgotten, expendable. The Krell had chosen their target well. 12 light-years away, aboard the UHNS Sovereign Thunder, Captain William Drake stood on the bridge of humanity's newest and most devastating creation. The Titan-class warship stretched 3 kilometers from bow to stern, bristling with weapons that could crack planets and shields that could withstand the fury of stars. "Sir, we've isolated the distress signal," reported Lieutenant Vasquez, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. "New Sahara Colony, Agricultural World, Population 218. The transmission was cut off mid-broadcast." William's jaw tightened. He had spent 15 years in the human defense fleet, rising from a young ensign to command of the most powerful vessel ever constructed by human hands. He had seen colonies burn before, had arrived too late to do anything but count the bodies and file reports that no one would read. "Not this time." "How long until we're in range?" he asked, his voice carrying the weight of command that made junior officers straighten their spines. "At maximum burn with the new drive, sir, 14 hours. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Standard protocol dictated a cautious approach, reconnaissance, coordination with fleet command. Standard protocol would take 48 hours minimum. William looked at the tactical display, at the tiny marker representing New Sahara and the cluster of Krell warships surrounding it like sharks circling wounded prey. He thought of 218 people, farmers and dreamers who had traveled across the stars to grow wheat and raise families on a world of red sand and purple sunsets. "Navigation, plot a jump directly into the system," William ordered. "Engineering, I want every reactor running at 110%. Weapons, begin charging all primary batteries." "Sir," Vasquez hesitated, "Fleet Command hasn't authorized." "I don't recall asking for authorization, Lieutenant." William's eyes never left the display. "We have 14 hours to show the Krell what happens when they touch our people. Let's make them count." The Sovereign Thunder lurched forward, its experimental quantum drives tearing through the fabric of space itself. Inside, 3,000 crew members prepared for war. In the bunker beneath New Sahara, the end was approaching. Maya could hear the Krell drilling machines above, their high-pitched whine growing louder by the minute. They would breach the bunker soon, and then the slaughter would begin. The Krell didn't take prisoners. They didn't negotiate. They harvested. "I should have left when we had the chance," muttered Jakob, a young farmer who had lost his entire family in the first bombardment. Should have run when the warnings came. Run where? Maya asked quietly. This was our home, these fields, these dreams, this was supposed to be our future. Some future, Jakob spat. Elder Chen raised his hand for silence. Listen. The drilling had stopped. For a moment hope flickered in Maya's chest. Perhaps the Krell had withdrawn, perhaps some miracle had occurred. Then she heard it, the heavy footsteps of Krell warriors, the clicking of their mandibles, the hiss of their breathing apparatus. They were coming. Maya raised her plasma rifle with shaking hands, knowing it was futile but refusing to die without a fight. Around her, others did the same. If this was the end, they would face it standing. Then the entire bunker shook. But this wasn't the drilling or the bombardment. This was something else, something that made the walls vibrate and dust rain from the ceiling. It felt like thunder, impossibly deep, impossibly powerful thunder that rolled across the world. "What is that?" someone whispered. Maya didn't answer. She was staring at the small communication device on Elder Chen's wrist, the emergency receiver that had been silent for 3 days. It was blinking, receiving. Chen activated it with trembling fingers. "Sahara, this is UHNS Sovereign Thunder. All colonists take cover. Immediate danger, close support inbound. I repeat, human warship in orbit. Get your heads down, we're bringing the rain." The voice was calm, professional, utterly human. And behind it Maya could hear the sound of weapons charging, of a ship built not for exploration or trade, but for one purpose only: war. From orbit, the Sovereign Thunder was a god of destruction. William watched the tactical display as his ship's targeting systems painted every Krell vessel, every ground position, every threat to the colonists below. 12 Krell warships, 500 ground troops, artillery positions, mining equipment, all glowing red on his screens. "Krell command vessel is hailing us, sir," reported Communications Officer Park. "They're demanding we withdraw or be destroyed." William allowed himself a cold smile. "Tell them humanity doesn't negotiate with species that hunt children. Tell them their fleet has 60 seconds to surrender or be annihilated." "They're powering weapons, sir." 59 seconds. The Krell fleet began moving into attack formation, their ships ancient but deadly, veterans of 100 conquered worlds. They had never encountered a Titan-class warship before. They had never encountered humanity truly angered. "Time's up," William said quietly. "All batteries fire at will." The Sovereign Thunder erupted. Massive railgun rounds, each the size of a bus and traveling at a significant fraction of light speed, lanced through the void. Point defense lasers carved geometric patterns of death across the black. Missile pods opened like flowers of steel, releasing swarms of guided fury. The first Krell warship died in 7 seconds, its shields overwhelmed, its hull vaporized, its crew not even having time to scream. The second and third followed 12 seconds later. By the time 30 seconds had passed, the Krell fleet was debris. "Ground forces are retreating to their landers," Vasquez reported. "Don't let them." William's voice was ice. "Orbital strikes, precision targeting, nothing survives." Beams of concentrated energy fell from the heavens like the judgment of ancient gods. Each strike was calculated to the millimeter, devastating the Krell positions while leaving the human colony untouched. The alien warriors tried to run, tried to fight, tried to hide. It didn't matter. In 3 minutes it was over. When Maya and the other colonists finally emerged from the bunker, the world had changed. The Krell were gone, their ships burning in orbit, their ground forces reduced to scorched earth and memory. The bombardment had stopped. The drilling had stopped. Everything had stopped except the slow, steady rotation of the massive human warship above them, so large it blotted out a portion of the sky, so powerful it had ended a 3-day siege in 3 minutes. Maya fell to her knees in the red sand, tears streaming down her face. Around her, others were crying, laughing, embracing. They had been abandoned, forgotten, written off as acceptable losses. But someone had come. Her communication device chirped again. The same calm voice, the voice of Captain William Drake, commander of the Sovereign Thunder. New Sahara Colony, this is Captain Drake. Medical teams are landing in your location. We'll have full defensive platforms in orbit within the hour. You're safe now. You were never alone. Humanity doesn't abandon its own. Maya looked up at the Titan-class warship, at humanity's promise written in steel and fury across the stars. She thought of all the colonies scattered across the galaxy, all the worlds where humans had planted flags and raised families, all the dreams that stretched across the endless dark. And she understood, finally, what it meant to be human, to be part of a species that would cross 12 light years in 14 hours for 218 farmers, to be part of a family that spanned solar systems. Little Amara tugged at her sleeve. "Mama, I told you help would come." Maya smiled through her tears, watching the landing shuttles descend. "Yes, John, you were right, they came." High above, the Sovereign Thunder maintained its vigil, a Titan standing guard over those who needed protection. And in the captain's chair, William Drake permitted himself a rare smile. Sometimes, he reflected, you arrived in time to save them. Sometimes humanity got there first. And